The morning started like any other, except for the sick feeling in my gut that told me something wasn't right. I'd gotten up before dawn to feed the horses and get the barn ready for a shipment of hay that was due to arrive. My farm isn't just a hobby, it's my livelihood. Every second matters when you're running livestock and crops, and delays can cost thousands of dollars. As I stepped outside, the cool morning air hit me, along with a sight that made my blood boil. Parked directly in front of my massive barn doors, blocking them completely, was a shiny silver Rolls-Royce with a license plate that screamed entitlement. I stopped in my tracks, my jaw tightening as I processed what I was seeing. That spot in front of my barn isn't just a parking space, it's a crucial access point for feed deliveries, emergency exits, and heavy equipment. Whoever had parked there hadn't just inconvenienced me, they'd effectively shut down my entire morning operations. I didn't have to think long to figure out who was behind it. It was Karen, my self-appointed nemesis from the HOA. She's been making my life miserable ever since the Homeowners Association expanded its boundaries to include the edge of my property last year. She doesn't like my farm animals, the smell of fresh manure, or the sound of tractors starting up before sunrise. She's tried everything, noise complaints, fines, even threatening letters, to force me to upgrade my property to meet HOA standards. I've stood my ground at every turn, but this was a new low, even for her. I stormed over to the Rolls-Royce and peered through the tinted windows. Empty. Of course, she wasn't around to face me directly. She probably parked it there late last night, knowing I'd discover it first thing in the morning. My hay delivery was less than an hour away, and there was no way the truck could get through unless that car was moved. My hands were shaking with rage as I pulled out my phone and called her. She answered on the second ring, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Oh, good morning, neighbor," she said, drawing out the word like a curse. "Karen," I snapped. "Your car is blocking my barn. Move it, now." There was a pause, then a condescending laugh. "Oh, that? I parked there to keep it safe while the HOA workers do some landscaping near my driveway. Surely you don't mind just for today?" "Mind? Karen, I have a hay delivery coming in 30 minutes. If that truck can't get in, my animals go hungry and I lose money. Move the car." She sighed dramatically. "You farmers are always so dramatic. I'll move it when I get back. I'm in town having breakfast with my ladies group. You can wait." That was it, the last straw. This woman had been pushing and pushing, and now she was deliberately sabotaging my farm just to prove she could. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized I had two choices: wait for her to return on her own schedule and watch my farm grind to a halt, or take matters into my own hands. I hung up without another word and stood there, staring at that smug, shiny car. My hay truck would be arriving any minute, and there was no time to argue. I walked back to my equipment shed and fired up my tractor. The deep rumble of its engine was like a war cry echoing across my land. As I drove toward the barn, neighbors began peeking out of their windows. Some looked horrified, others amused. When I reached the Rolls-Royce, I didn't hesitate. With careful precision, I lowered the massive front bucket of the tractor. My plan was simple: move the car out of the way, one way or another. At first, I tried nudging it gently, but the thing barely budged. That's when a darker thought crossed my mind. Karen had spent months mocking my farm, insulting my livelihood, and treating me like a second-class citizen. She thought her wealth and shiny toys made her untouchable. Maybe it was time to show her just how wrong she was. I revved the tractor's engine and dropped the bucket down hard, slamming it onto the hood of the Rolls-Royce. Metal crunched like tinfoil. Gasps and shouts erupted from a gathering crowd. But I didn't stop. With one smooth motion, I lifted the bucket and the entire front half of the car with it. Then I drove forward slowly, dragging the mangled luxury vehicle out of the way. By the time the hay truck rolled up, there was plenty of room for it to back in. The driver gave me a low whistle and a thumbs up as he maneuvered into place. I went about unloading the feed like nothing unusual had happened, though my heart was still pounding in my chest. About 20 minutes later, I heard the unmistakable sound of shrieking. Karen had returned. She came sprinting down the road in her designer heels, her face twisted with fury and disbelief as she saw what was left of her prized car. "You monster," she screamed, her voice echoing across the fields. "You destroyed my car. My Rolls-Royce. Do you know how much this costs?" I wiped the sweat from my brow and stared her down. "About as much as a morning's worth of lost revenue on my farm. You blocked my barn, Karen. I warned you." She was practically foaming at the mouth. "I'm calling the HOA. I'm calling the police. You're finished." "Go ahead," I said calmly. "But before you do, you might want to check the state laws about trespassing and interfering with agricultural operations. Spoiler alert, the law's on my side." Her eyes widened as my words sank in. She sputtered and threatened me some more, but the neighbors who had witnessed the whole thing began chiming in. Several of them told her outright that she was in the wrong, and a few even had video recordings of her car blocking my barn and me calling her about it. By the time the police arrived, the story was crystal clear. Karen was slapped with a hefty fine for illegal parking and harassment. Meanwhile, I faced no charges whatsoever. The officers even hinted that if I wanted to take her to civil court for damages, I'd have a strong case. Karen's reputation in the neighborhood was shattered. The HOA, embarrassed by her behavior, distanced themselves from her completely. In a delicious twist of irony, she ended up having to pay me for the damages her stunt had caused to my schedule and my business. As for the remains of her Rolls-Royce, I had it hauled away and turned into scrap metal, the proceeds donated to a local 4-H club. Sometimes, standing up for yourself isn't just about words, it's about action. And when someone tries to run roughshod over your life, sometimes the best way to fight back is with a tractor and a little old-fashioned backbone. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more wild tales of standing up to bullies and HOA tyrants, hit that subscribe button and join our community. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.